Meghan received a painful blow for disrespecting the Queen. The Sussexes got their asses kicked before Megxit. Hello and a very warm welcome back to Kate Middleton and the Queen News YouTube channel. A royal expert is now making the claim that the photo is clearly showing Meghan Markle being formally escorted from a theater in London where she thought that she had a meeting already set up. So apparently the late Queen wanted to meet with Ms. Meghan to discuss matters on January 8th of 2020, but Meghan informed the late Queen that she couldn't possibly meet with her at that time. See, Meghan already had her own meeting scheduled. So the late Queen ended up canceling the theater meeting, and Meghan showed up not knowing that. Apparently Meghan had this idea in her head that the late Queen was this elderly old lady that could be easily ignored, that she's not to be listened to. Meghan really believed that she could handle her. I mean, the arrogance of that woman. So Meghan was taken to the airport along with 2 bags of clothing and items that were taken from Frogmore Cottage. And this is why her diary was still at Frogmore, because it was not packed for her. The royal protectors took Meghan on board an airplane where Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, and Prince Edward were waiting for her. They stayed with Meghan until she left the UK and headed for Canada. And this happened on the day before Meghan and Harry released their statement through Instagram that they were stepping back from royal duties and that they wanted to do this half-in, half-out deal. And all of that they said without ever consulting the late Queen. And at the end of the day, she is the one who decides everything. See, Meghan never wanted to give the late Queen any respect whatsoever, so she bundled the upstart and sent her packing. Interesting, huh? And to think that Meghan and Harry really believed they had any leverage whatsoever. I'm shocked at the sheer arrogance and the stupidity of Meghan. Meghan is not very smart, is she? And we will never consider her to be an intellectual, but she's too stupid to understand that. I am so happy to hear these details are coming out now, and that the Queen put her out just like she deserved. The nerve of Meghan is just incomparable. The evil that she has thrust upon some good people is simply mind-boggling. It also puts a few things in perspective in terms of exactly how much leverage the two of them believe they had over the amazingly gracious Queen. Half-in, half-out royals, what is wrong with them? I mean, they should either be hot or cold. They are in no position to dictate their terms. And if they're out, then they should stop exploiting their royal connection, and they should just try to earn a respectable living off of their own steam. They have got to stop whining about being cut off. They are fully grown adults and they've got enough money. They could very easily live off of that money if they wanted to, and maybe they could try to do something productive with their time. You know what? I am happy that Meghan was escorted to an airplane. She is so incredibly divisive. And even though I'm not shocked by it, I find it disgusting that she was so disrespectful to her late majesty. I was also looking at a close-up of that photo, and I could see that Meghan was not wearing any rings on her left hand, so that photo could be of her being escorted off a marina. The gangplanes often have aluminum handrails, and so are a lot of the coastal accesses too. We already know once upon a time Meghan illegally boarded a yacht with entertainment staff, and she was caught red-handed in the owner's cabin. Reportedly, the owner was an elderly widower, and Meghan was caught going through his late wife's jewelry. How horrible! So he did the right thing. He had her detained in a cabin, and he then called ahead at a Florida marina to have her taken off by coastal security. She ended up being questioning, and then she was forced to find her own way home. Seems to me that people often forget the fact that other people have eyes in our heads and we can see exactly what you're up to. It does not take a genius to figure all of that out. And it seems like there was quite the scene at the National Theatre when Meghan was requested to remove her wedding and engagement bands and hem them over. She refused to do that, and apparently they had to be forcibly removed from Meghan's hand. Whew, can you imagine the scene that she would cause if somebody had to be physical with her, forcing her to give those rings back? I can only imagine the look on her face, like that of a demon. I'm sure she would be screaming, struggling. I would actually like to see that on film. Perhaps one day we'll get to if this really happened. And let's not forget, that engagement ring also contains the diamonds from Diana's earrings, and the wedding ring has the last of the Welsh gold first used for the wedding ring of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. They weren't supposed to leave the UK, and that's exactly why Meghan was also not permitted to wear them to South Africa. They were scared that she could make arrangements to replace the diamonds when she was there. That Meghan Markle just has no etiquette whatsoever. She's so deviant. She is so below the standard. I simply cannot describe the foolishness in which she operates. She is a complete joke. She tried to demean the Queen not once but twice. One time with that whole meeting occasion, and the other time with the comment that, oh, service is universal. Meghan is a waste of oxygen. Never in my life have I been so furious at somebody who really is so insignificant. The two of them are going to be just wishing they had listened to common sense when the offer was given. They make me feel sick. And I do feel sorry for the invisible kids. If they are real, I'm sure they're in great danger living with these two crazy people. And the stuff they say, my goodness, it's contemptible. And I know karma is coming for them. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Meghan was escorted out of the UK after she was caught in the act of taking photos of private residences, and she was caught apparently taking photos of little Charlotte, and they accidentally, or maybe not accidentally, showed those photos in that docu-series. Now, if it were a man who had been in little Charlotte's bedroom taking unauthorized photos, I can't help but wonder what they would have done to him. Now, having said that, the truth is women can be just as bad as men in that way. It's rare, but sometimes it still happens. Meghan loves to talk about how much she wants privacy, but what she really means is that she does not want any negative information about herself or photos of herself or the phantom children out there. But she thinks it's perfectly acceptable to photograph a sleeping child without the permission of the parents, and she was a guest in little Charlotte's home. What exactly is Meghan's reason for that? I guess she figured she could sell those photos for a pretty penny. Apparently, she actually said this to Harry and Charles, too. So Harry ended up calling his father, and Charles kicked her out of the country, supposedly. I can't help but wonder if that timing coincides with when Harry broke the relationship off for a little while. Now, this would be the time when Harry flew to Montego Bay for an Inskip wedding. Well, of course, Meghan could not let that happen. She couldn't let him slip out of her grasp, so she ended up crashing the whole wedding and was such an embarrassment to Harry. You know, maybe soon enough, the downfall is going to begin if it hasn't already. And I believe that whole story about what happened in the theater, because we already know that Meghan is egotistical enough to do something like that, and she could have been escorted to the airport at that time. But I also recall that other occasion with Sophie actually accompanying her out of the UK on an earlier occasion. She did not go with Harry for that meeting with the Queen in January of 2020 because she expected Harry to deal with everything all by himself. She's such a coward. She wanted to remain safely behind in Canada with little Archie, if he's real. But she didn't want to bring him back to the UK because she was worried that he would be taken from her to be raised there. It's interesting, too, when we think about this whole Meghan story in the context of what's happening in society at large. We are in the postmodern era, folks. The woke personal computers era is here, and it's going to come to define the virtue signaling, the victimhood, the power grab attitude that has really plagued our society. Society really has been in decline ever since Me Too and BLM took over. See, those movements have shown that victimhood brings not only a lot of attention, but it can also bring a lot of power and money, too. And to me, it's such a crying shame how so many people out there have used these movements not as events of cultural healing, but instead as a way to dominate others. It is such a waste of time and energy and intelligence, too. I think we're going to look back on this time eventually, and we are not going to be proud of what happened. Whether true or not, this story does not make Meghan look good. She has made it her mission in life to destroy the royal family, I guess because she couldn't hack it. She couldn't make it as a working royal. And the Queen was not this naive, gullible little old grandma that Meghan believed she was. The Queen was very astute until the end, and she was incredibly wise. And the Queen has passed on so many of her intelligent thoughts to the senior members of the royal family. Meghan is definitely not going to win this war that she started. And do you agree with this view? Please tell me what you think below in the comments section, and we can also discuss your thoughts and feelings. If you think my video is useful, please remember to like and share it with your friends and family who would enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe to Kate Middleton and the Queen News channel to get more updates from our team. Now thank you so much for tuning in, goodbye, and I'll be back to see you all in the next videos.